Thanks for tuning in to Bourbon Drop. I'm your host, Myron. Today, we've got another heavy hitter. This is Old FITZ 17. 17-year-old wheated bourbon. I chased and chased and chased this bottle. Didn't get my hands on it until my buddy Kenny blessed me with a bottle. So, thanks, Kenny. Appreciate it. Let's get it.
Bottle drop, bottle drop, bottle drop.
By now, everybody should know the story of Johnny Fitzgerald. He was a treasury agent. He went around the warehouse. He was only one of two people allowed to have the keys to the warehouses. He would go around, sample different barrels, and they knew that the lighted barrels that were sampled by Johnny Fitzgerald were going to be the good barrels. That's pretty much how the whole story got started. So now that we got that out the way, I want to get into the bourbon. You see Heaven Hill on the table. I've got Mac 10, one of my favorites. This is a standout standalone. Henry McKenna 10-year was one of the bourbons that I fell in love with. And then all of a sudden it became hard to get and I didn't know why. Then I hear it wins a double gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Festival. And after that it was a wrap. It was hard to get. Now they're on the allocated ABC list. I used to pick that thing up for $29.99. Now you've got Heaven Hill. This is, I think, the 7-year. Yeah, the 7-year. $59.99 in some markets, $69.99 in some markets. This is very enjoyable, very enjoyable. Of course, we've got the Larceny Barrel Proofs. I'm not a big fan of the regular Larceny. I love the Larceny Barrel Proof line. So far, I haven't had a bad one. I've heard some things here and there. Some guys say that, that they didn't like some of the releases they had in the past. I find them enjoyable. Now it's time to get into the bottled and bond 17-year-old Old FITZ and see what's going on. My man Kenny, he told me crack it on camera. I told him I would do so. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Wow, that is, man, that's a heck of a cork too. I mean, it comes in its own decanter. I think that's the reason why a lot of people chase it. It's a beautiful bottle. I have stopped chasing pretty bottles. Now I want to see if the bourbon inside matches the bottle. Yeah, nice smell coming out of the glass. I love when you get that bourbon smell that just comes out of the glass, man. Now, I may have did the Pappy that I just reviewed a little bit of a disservice. Wow, that's tight. By not letting it air out a little bit. Now, this right here, the color on that thing, man. Yeah, that is super dark. That is super dark. All right, I feel like I got enough air whipped in it. Let's go on for the nose. Wow. That's like, ooh, peaches? Heavy on the fruits. Heavy on the fruits. First thing that hit me was peaches. All day like peaches. There's almost a wax note too. See if I can pull anything else out. Yeah, I'm just getting peaches, man. Peaches all day long. Let's see what the palate does. Then we'll go back to it, see if I can pull some more things out. Wow. That's good. I did not expect, it drinks above its proof. I did not expect that 100 proof to hit me the way it did. It actually hit straight to the nose. It is a maple syrup. It is definitely a little bit of leather. The peaches do transfer over. All of those fruit notes just transfer over to the palate. It's got a little bit of like a date in there. little bit of spice on the front of the tongue. There's this waxy note that I really can't put my finger on. It's there, I can smell it. It is a little oaky. I won't say it's drying. It is a little oaky. It's juicy. It's actually pretty juicy. It's got a good mouthfeel. It's not thin. The finish is not long at all though. Let's go back into the nose. A little bit of a concentrated lemon starts to come through. Some of the oak comes through. There's a waxy note, and I know it sounds weird, but there's a waxy note that I just can't put my finger on. Those peaches come through. There's a nice light vanilla cream. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You do get a little bit of the pepper that's on the back that finishes, but you smell it in there, but it's not really potent. Let's go back into the palate. Yeah, there's a really like a light maple syrup. It's like a watered down maple syrup. You do get a nice bit of pepper on the back and pepper on the front, but the finish just goes. The finish doesn't hang around long at all. It does have a good mouthfeel. It is not the oiliest that I've ever had. It does have a very good creamy, viscous mouthfeel, but the finish just goes. Now I'm left behind with a little bit of the pepper. Some of the oak is left behind. It's turning into like that light cream. It's just like, it's finishing with that light cream. Let's go back into it. Because the finish goes so fast that I'm having troubles picking out all of the notes. You get the pepper on the front of the tongue. You get the oak. You get a little bit of that lemon. You get the peaches. And then it's pepper, a little bit of pepper on the back. And then it finishes kind of creamy. This is weird. You don't get many bourbons that finish in the reverse. And I say that because most of the time you get the sweetness on the front. You get the pepper and the leather and the char across the back. I'm getting sweetness up front, but I'm getting pepper up front. Then the mid palate gets the sweetness, gets the peaches, and then the rear of the palate finishes with like this just creamy, light vanilla. And like I said, you get like a watered down maple syrup note in there. Yeah, more lemon shines through the deeper it gets in the glass. And that's one thing that I found with bourbons is different levels in the glass will give you different notes. Nosing notes and tasting notes. Yeah. All in all, Old FITZ 17 is great. Is it worth the $199 price? We'll get into that in the breakdown. Is it worth the chase? Old FITZ 17 is worth the chase. It is absolutely worth the chase. It's released twice a year, spring and fall. This is the 9th release. This bottle is beautiful. I think probably 50% of the people chase it, if not more, maybe even 90% of the people chase it, just for the bottle alone. The stuff inside is good. Now, of course, they have different releases. So I think they had a 7-year, no, they had a 9-year, a 13-year, a 17-year. And I'm not up on all of my releases with the old FITZ, but they come out with different ages. But this is aged for 17 years. It is great. There are not a lot of 17-year-old bourbons that you're gonna get. So is it worth the chase for the bottle design, for the bourbon that's in the bottle? Absolutely. Would I pay over retail? This thing is $199 retail. I'm not gonna get this for $30 over retail. I would be wishful in my thinking to think that I would get this for $30 over retail. I could see this bottle, and actually my buddy Kenny was contemplating whether or not on maybe putting it out there, because we saw a bottle go for $800. I mean, that is how much it is sought after. 17-year-old bourbon you just don't come across anymore. I would break my $30 limit. I honestly would break my $30 limit. Yes, the finish is thin, but this is something that you're not gonna come across all the time. To have it on the bar, I would break my $30 limit. $800? No. $500? No. It's $200. I might be willing to give a guy another $100, and I know that's not gonna happen, but that's pretty much all I would go over retail. Would I give it to a new bourbon drinker? This would suit a new bourbon drinker very well. Yes, it's 17 years old, but it is not super oaky. It's not oaky at all. It's got some oak in it. I can taste it. It's a little drying, but it's not bad. This thing right here, I think a new bourbon drinker would find very enjoyable. It has a lot of notes. It's a little bit of a roller coaster ride with the pepper in the front, the watered down maple syrup, the peaches in it, the creaminess on the back of the palate. I think a new bourbon drinker would enjoy it, and I don't think the oak would scare them off. It is not oaky at all. Will I always have a bottle on the bar? You know I'm not gonna have a bottle of this on the bar. This bottle here is another loaner. I have to give this back. Would I love to keep a bottle on the bar? Of course. I would cherish this thing. I would not go through it. 17-year-old bourbon, you're not gonna get again. It comes in a beautiful bottle. It's pretty all by itself. It's 17 years old. That's something that you just don't run into a lot without a heavy price tag. And on secondary, this thing is gonna kill you. So would I love to keep a bottle of it on the bar? Of course. Now that the ABC drops have gotten a lot better, in my opinion, because at one point there was an issue where some guys had some inside information and it made it harder for me to get bottles like this. Now with the way they're doing it, just dropping it on random days, even if they get it when the store gets a delivery, not being able to put it out until they get the okay from headquarters, makes it a lot easier for a guy like me to be able to have a bottle like this on the bar. With that being said, let the whiskey flow, never run out unless you're headed to a drop.